government urges drastic measures. Chinese officials turn entrepreneurs amidst financial crisis. Beijing's bold move, countering American influence with American dollars. Real name rules for Chinese internet stars spark outcry. Big influencers exposed. Xi Jinping's unusual focus, combating espionage threats in unlikely places. Crushing Dissent. Hong Kong's democratic hope wanes with district council nominations. In the midst of China's economic slowdown and a challenging job market, there is a surprising development in Jiangsu, one of the wealthier provinces in China, where they are encouraging public servants to leave their positions and pursue entrepreneurship. Analysts suggest that this reflects the fiscal pressures faced by local Chinese governments, resulting in not only collective pay cuts but also various measures to streamline their workforce. According to reports by Voice of America, 14 departments, including the Jiangsu Provincial Department of Human Resources and Social Security and the Jiangsu Provincial Development and Reform Commission, jointly issued a notice in early October outlining the implementation of the key group's entrepreneurship promotion initiative. The goal is to support 200,000 individuals in starting their own businesses annually by 2025. With a strong focus on encouraging off-post entrepreneurship. Chinese-American lawyer Liang Xiaohua, currently residing in the United States, stated that statistics show a high failure rate of general entrepreneurship in China, ranging from 70% to 80%. He mentioned, for those within the system, apart from their formal jobs, they lack the ability to start businesses outside. Their failure rate would be even higher, including their concepts and their understanding of society, as they are out of touch with the broader society. He pointed out that the current economic situation in China appears to be at the end of an era of economic reform and opening up, with Chinese President Xi Jinping implementing policies of isolationism and the state advances while the private sector retreats. Private businesses in various industries are heavily suppressed. Entrepreneurs today are facing a vastly different business landscape. And he concluded by saying that those embarking on off-post entrepreneurship in China are walking into a firestorm, not a marketplace. Beijing's bold move, countering American influence with American dollars. Reuters reports that leaders of both parties on the U.S. House-China Issues Special Committee urged Treasury Secretary Yellen on October 30th to expedite investment restrictions on China. They warned that Beijing is using American funds to develop technology while debates over the new rules are taking place in the U.S. Treasury. The report states that President Biden issued an executive order in August authorizing the U.S. Treasury Secretary to prohibit or limit American investments in Chinese entities in 3 areas: semiconductors and microelectronics, quantum information technology, and certain artificial intelligence systems. This executive order aims to prevent U.S. funds and expertise from being used to assist China in developing technology that could support its military modernization. While the new guidelines from the U.S. Treasury are expected to be developed, the order is not scheduled to take effect until next year. They requested that Yellen adopt a broad definition of technology in the investment restrictions guidelines, because China blurs the lines between commercial and military technology. The letter states, "We should anticipate that the CCP will seek to evade restrictions based on a narrow definition." China has confirmed the implementation of real name registration for top-tier self-media accounts across the entire web. Platforms such as Weibo, WeChat, Douyin, Kuaishou, and others issued announcements on the evening of the 31st. Stating that they will guide certain self-media accounts to complete real identity information verification. Weibo has announced that it will soon guide self-media accounts with over 1 million followers in professional fields such as current affairs, military, finance, law, and medicine to fill in their real name information. This will gradually expand to self-media accounts with over 500,000 followers in relevant fields with real name display upon user consent. WeChat, on the other hand, has mandated that self-media accounts with over 500,000 followers, regardless of their field, disclose their real names for self-media accounts with over 1 million followers when users confirm their consent. Individual account holders will display their real names, while organizational accounts will show their enterprise or institution names. The related real name information can be viewed on the account data page. Self-media accounts with over 1 million followers who do not display their real name information will face limitations on account traffic and earnings. Dissent emphasized that if the aforementioned accounts receive notifications but fail to complete verification or authorization, it will have an impact on their content dissemination and commercial earnings until the verification and authorization are completed. The second-ranking short video platform, Kuaishou, also issued an announcement stating that the real name scope for the front-end covers areas related to domestic and international news, social hotspots, and professional fields such as medicine and law. Self-media accounts with over 500,000 followers will receive notifications in batches and stages, enabling them to display their real name information on their personal account data page after obtaining user consent. China had already implemented a real name registration for the back-end and voluntary disclosure for the front-end system in 2015, followed by the mandatory display of IP locations for social media users. This recent move comes after the official release of 13 new regulations in July aimed at enhancing the management of self-media and introduces real name registration for top self-media influencers. Xi Jinping's unusual focus, combating espionage threats in unlikely places. Under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, China has mobilized its entire society to counter espionage, with national security concerns even being directed at meteorological data. On October 31, the Chinese Ministry of State Security announced that it had uncovered hundreds of illegally foreign-involved meteorological observation stations transmitting meteorological data abroad, spread across more than 20 provinces in China. Some of these observation stations were reported to have received funding from foreign governments, and others were located in proximity to sensitive areas, including military facilities, and have been subjected to legal action. China's Ministry of State Security disclosed on its WeChat official account that this year, the national security agencies, in collaboration with meteorological and confidentiality departments, initiated a special campaign for foreign-involved meteorological observations. They investigated over 10 agents of foreign meteorological equipment, inspected more than 3,000 foreign-involved meteorological sites across more than 20 provinces, and identified hundreds of illegally foreign-involved meteorological observation stations transmitting meteorological data abroad in real time. These actions were seen as posing risks to national security. In July of this year, China began implementing a new version of its counter-espionage law, which expanded the definition and interpretation of espionage activities while enhancing the government's authority to conduct C. The Hong Kong District Council elections are scheduled for December 10th, with the nomination period ending on October 30th. The Democratic camp has been completely shut out. Director of the Liaison Office of the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, Zheng Yangxiong, further instructed on October 31st that the root causes of chaos in Hong Kong have not been eliminated, and there is a need to completely clear the soil for the Hong Kong version of a color revolution. During the peak of the 2019 Hong Kong anti-extradition bill protests, Democratic parties won by an overwhelming majority in the previous district council elections. However, after the protests were quelled, Beijing intensified its control over Hong Kong society. It implemented the Hong Kong version of the national security law and thoroughly reformed the election procedures. After the enactment of the Hong Kong national security law in 2020, most of the pan-democratic parties disbanded on their own, with only the Democratic Party remaining. The Democratic Party had previously announced its intention to field 6 candidates in the upcoming district council elections, but at the end of the nomination period, none of the 6 candidates received enough nominations. This marks the first time in nearly 40 years since the founding of the Democratic Party that they will be absent from district council elections. According to the revised district council election model, candidates for geographical constituencies need to receive nominations from a minimum of 3 members of each district council, district fight crime committees, and district fire safety committees, and to accord to as the 3 committees. Most members of the are pro-establishment individuals aligned with the government,